Hi.
Good evening.
I have to say, I don't feel like I'm wearing enough makeup or eyeliner to be talking about the thing we're going to be talking about tonight.
Yeah, hardcore punk rock, emo goth. We're getting into it tonight, but
But it's
in all
not
the best
music.
ways. No, not music, but
Contrary to the shirt that I am wearing tonight, we're not talking
right.
about music.
No.
Um, Not yet anyway. But we are going to be talking about a book.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess we'll get things started.
All right. Sounds good.
The sky, it's dark, and the wind is blowing. Come inside. Sit down with a cup of tea while we tell you a little story. A story that lies beyond the oblong box. With your hosts, Levi Leland and Virginia Poe. Can you even see, can you tell what my
I did not see that, but now I'm insanely jealous that you have that.
Hold on. I will put it behind. There we go. So you can see it.
That's unbeatable. I almost forgive you for not drinking tea since you're drinking out of that glass.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I have to thank Kurt for that. Thank you, Kurt. And I also have to thank my friends Linda and Otter. So thank you all. The love was felt.
The
love
I
was
would feel
felt.
very loved if I got an Annabelle Lee glass. A goblet. Really, that's just really cool. I love that.
So I think this is technically a brandy snifter.
Okay.
I also have I'm not sure if it's technically a water glass. I know one is definitely a wine glass. I've got one that's probably more of a whiskey glass. It's not really a shot glass. I guess I guess it is a shot glass, but it's like a thicker, taller. What do they call those?
Like a double shot glass?
kind of like I guess they call them high boys or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just say pour me.
You have
drink.
all the glasses.
I drink it, but I have all the glasses.
Right.
Yes,
you have all the glassware for Annabelle Lee Tavern.
Yes, exactly.
I love it.
So it's from because they're doing some new design stuff. So this is all the last of the original from 2007 design stuff. So
before they were bought out. Now I plan on being there this year.
It's still in the family.
Yeah.
It's still in the family. Yeah. So don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
It's in good hands.
Oh yes. So,
totally. I look forward to being there this year for PoeFest. I do plan on going this year. First time.
This is everybody. He's telling me
this is breaking news.
You're hearing it. I'm freaking out.
I figured this is a good way to work a little backwards to what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'm going to PoeFest.
Yes.
There will be a book signing. Yes. And I hope to see you there. There's going to be a book signing / reading at Westminster Hall on Saturday. The Saturday of the PoeFest weekend, 1 p.m. And this will kind of be our debut book signing for the Enduring Fascination anthology that is coming out that I was a part of. So I contributed an essay to that. And we're going to put a link on our page to the Amazon posting to pre-order this book.
Oh, yes.
And for those of you, just to kind of plug it a little bit, number of very interesting and high-minded Poe enthusiasts of our generation who work in the field of Poe or have been influenced by Poe in some way, contributed an essay to this anthology, including myself. Just how they got into Poe and how Poe has been linked to their occupation or something that they do every day that involves Poe. And so that's all the information I'm going to give. And the reason
Yeah.
why we're saying this first to work backwards is in my essay, I talk about how I got into Poe, of course.
Right. And the whole reason we're even talking about books, which totally forgot to even mention.
If the title doesn't give it away, though, they'll see the title.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, theys and thams, all of our friends, everyone who's listening.
Any y'all. Hear ye,
dogs,
hear ye.
cats, whatever, whoever's listening. We are doing something known as the Summer Reading PoeGram. See what
PoeGram?
I did?
Okay, you did say that. I thought I heard that right.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So I want to make sure
So
you were doing all right there.
We decided that, it's still summer. It's not school time yet for those who have to go to school.
Mm.
We're not there yet. However, I remembered something from my youth that I absolutely loved doing, which was going to our local public library and doing their summer reading program, which usually involved checking out tons of books, reading them, then telling our librarian exactly what it was about, or we had to write a little paragraph synopsis. I do remember one year my mother or my father, one of the two of them, and I don't remember who, but they had to get confirmation. The librarians wanted confirmation from parents that they actually saw us reading said books and that we just didn't read them. Because we were getting stamps on these cards. It was kind of like Monopoly. They had different themed games every single year, and you could get prizes and stuff. But you better believe that I was always checking Poe books out. Now, we couldn't read the same book twice during summer, mind you. But it was part of it. And I thought, how cute would it be? Because we haven't really done summer episodes. Both Levi and I have had to take a little time off to get some stuff done and take care of some things and stuff. So season 3 has come a little late, but better late than never. And what a better way to get into it than talking about books. So this is what we're doing. So we have plugged this book, sort of.
Yeah.
Because it is related to what we are going to talk about.
Right.
So now.
Working backwards. We're doing some summer reading recommendations. And of course, these books are going to be all Poe related somehow, some way. Whether it's loosely, strongly.
Directly.
Yeah, directly, indirectly. This book that we're going to be talking about on this episode was my introduction to Poe. And of course, I will talk about that for this episode because we have to, but it also hints to my essay that, talked about that's going to be published in this anthology that talks about my introduction to Poe and how that snowballed into the walking tours and everything else. So,
sure.
Who's our artist and who's our author tonight, Virginia? I guess I have to get my copy now. Ready? Wow, twinning.
We are twinning.
Oh.
Twinning is winning. So yes,
this is so nostalgic for me. It's so nostalgic, this book.
I know. And also for those who can't see, yes, this gentleman right here, one Gris Grimley, he is the person that did. If people are familiar with the band Creature Feature, I once upon a time used to have a lot of fun times with those lads. Very connected. Lots of ridiculous conversations, great conversations, music conversation, book conversation, Poe conversations for sure.
It's a picture book, and picture books are often gauged toward young readers. I was a young reader when as I mentioned, this was my introduction to Poe, so I was about 12 years old, into Grimley's art. It is,
and this is what we do mean by picture books.
It's very, it would appear at first to be very like kid friendly, but it themes and
so I think most places where you can find this book online, I think it does list it as
that would
11.
certainly make the most sense.
So we're looking at
it's
teen.
and yeah, and plus it's his first illustrated edition of Poe's works. We have The Black Cat, The Mask of the Red Death, Hop Frog, and The Fall of the House of Usher. Now, The Black Cat,
correct.
There's some imagery of and some descriptions of some pretty gruesome things, and same thing with Hop Frog. It's Poe. It's Poe, but it is abridged, so it is a little bit reader friendly for those younger readers that would definitely struggle. I mean, after I had read this book as a kid, I went on to buy a complete edition of Poe's works, at 12 years old, and it was hard to get through. I was like, oh, why is this so different from his writing in Grimley's book? But I didn't realize that Poe's works were kind of cut down to be easier on the younger reader.
It's almost done kind of like, in a sense, almost kind of like how if you're doing like I guess like a graphic novel.
Yeah, where some of the images
in a sense
fill in the gaps of that text you might edit out. The images speak for that. So you don't have text in there. But it makes for a kid-friendly read, and especially for someone that wants to get into Poe, kind of get into his works. I fell in love with Grimley's art as Poe guy who, and then I'm like, all right, let me kind of discover more about Poe. So then I was, Googling Edgar Allan Poe and getting editions of his works and then it kind of took off from there. Like, okay, so this, it finally made sense that Grimley and Poe were kind of these two different entities. I kind of were, as a young kid, you don't really know what you're looking at and reading at first. It takes a couple extra steps to say, oh, okay, I get it now. Grimley kind of just illustrated this guy's works from the 19th century, and and it was just so fascinating. I carried this book around with me throughout 7th and 8th grade, and I was obsessed with it. I was obsessed with it.
I have to ask you something, Levi, because I'm kind of wondering, like, what did you think of the back of the dust jacket?
Yeah, so
like where it says about the author.
Yeah, so it was funny when I looked back there. I thought, because as a young Levi, I remember seeing the image of Poe, but I remember very specifically thinking that this guy was still alive and it was a modern day writer, because Gris Grimley kind of took this Victorian style picture for his part, for his bio. So I thought, oh, they're kind of doing this cutesy thing where they're both, photographed and dressed like 19th century gentlemen or something. And, even though
Gris actually has a little bit more of like a 30s
kind of like, early
look.
20th century look. But of course in my head, I don't know what, what period the attire is exactly. Nowadays I can identify it very quickly, but back then I was like, these guys, and so I remember I'm like, okay, well, let me look at this author. Like, I was young and I wasn't really totally into books and reading and literature. I was just kind of this young kid. I liked Tim Burton and I liked his movies, and I was,
Yes.
you know what I mean? I was just kind of like this wannabe goth kid that was, but then this is kind of what took off for me as far as my pursuit in like literature. And then I learned, okay, so actually Poe was from the 1800s, and he was this gothic, writer, and it all snowballed from there, and then of course I'm now 29, and I literally have not stopped pursuing Poe since 12 years old. It's really something. Something clicked for me when I obviously saw this book and looked at Grimley's art, but then when I looked into Poe and started seeing images of him and started reading more of his complete works and his poetry, I was like, oh wow, this guy, like, this is cool. Like, everything felt very familiar to me in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, why does this seem so right and familiar and so like, it was very intriguing and it sparked something. And so,
mm-hmm.
And I was already kind of like, I don't want to say obsessive, but I was one of those kids that, like, once I picked something up, I really stuck with it. I wasn't like always just like,
sure,
oh, I'm going to play guitar, I'm going to play piano, I'm going to play soccer, I'm going to play baseball. I was like, no, I like one day, started practicing on my cousin's piano, and then my dad bought me my own piano, and I've literally played piano since. I just haven't really like ever picked things up and dropped it. So Poe is no different. I picked this up, and
mm-hmm.
I will admittedly say I'm always on the Gris Grimley fan, bandwagon. I will always be behind Grimley, but he's kind of in the background. I follow his art, I follow his stuff. Sorry, my cat's just breaking in now. And but Poe is just he
Greenwood?
just couldn't stay away from me for more than 10 minutes. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So Poe I could not let it go. I just was so, and then of course the year following, I was in Baltimore. I was at Poe's grave. I was standing over what remains of him, and I haven't stopped since. So I really owe Gris Grimley so much, because if it wasn't for his art, I don't think I would have been ushered into Poe. I don't know if I would have picked Poe's works up on my own and on its own. And it took the art to kind of get me to appreciate the work. So, it's just,
I was gonna say, I wonder if it would have had the same response for you,
right?
If you hadn't seen Tales of Mystery and Madness,
right? I mean, right. If it was just a complete works of Poe, and I was like flipping through it, I would have saw these really long, wordy short stories, and it would have been probably a little less of an impact on me at that age, know?
Well, and here's the interesting fact about that. Talking a little bit about Gris himself as an artist. So he was born and raised in Nebraska.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
His dad was a farmer. So he, at a pretty young age, he really got interested in art. His parents were like, all right, let's get you lessons. He studied art for a while. He ended up going to college, Concordia University. It's where he got his BFA. And then after he graduated, he ended up going to California to pursue his illustration career. And he was there for a couple of years before he got his first big break, so to speak, in the publishing industry, because that was when he got his first real job, which was illustrating a children's book that was called Monster Museum. And so that was the first one that he really was able to do. And that is the thing about Gris, is while his illustrations are probably not what most people would think is like children friendly.
Mm.
You know, his a lot of his stuff is for kids.
Yeah,
It's
it's
also
definitely
for
gauged
adults,
for kids.
but it's
Yeah,
definitely gauged for kids, and I love that.
yeah.
Um,
For those
and
dark
it's
kids, those really like,
yeah.
oh, they're kind of into that darker, kind of creepier
Mhm.
vibe, and
Mhm.
some material is a little bit too gruesome for them. So
Sure.
this is a nice in
A nice
between where
happy
it's like,
medium. Yeah.
right, right, for those kids that are
Mhm.
kind of getting into the horror and the darker fiction.
So as he got into this, I guess around the same time that he did um Monster Museum, I think was about the same time that because some people know him from, like, if you shopped at Hot Topic,
Hmm.
he actually had shirts in Hot Topic for
Yep.
quite a while as well, and so people recognized his art because it was on these shirts. Um, so those kind of, I think those two things kind of happen simultaneously or pretty parallel to each other. Um, but um, he because of that he was able to do a couple of other projects, and he really got into this Poe project. Now, as a result of that, he's since then he's done Ray Bradbury. He did the Halloween tree, which is beautiful, and I was trying to find that to bring it over just so I could be like, look at how amazing this is. He also recently, I think that came out last year, was the Hocus Pocus illustrated book, which is freaking awesome. And I
Yes, I
think
saw
both
that.
of, yeah,
That was
I
a
don't know
cool
what I did with my Hocus
addition.
Pocus book. I thought it was downstairs here. I think my Halloween tree might be upstairs in the office that eventually I will move into for recording. It's still not ready. It's still not done. Someday.
It takes time.
A lot of time.
It really does. Trust me.
Wow. But he has done illustrated works of Ray Bradbury, the
Hmm.
Brothers Grimm, Mary Shelley, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Washington
Hmm.
Irving, because he did do Sleepy Hollow, the Sleepy Hollow book.
Yeah.
I freaking love
Yeah.
that.
All those like core classic,
Amazing.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
it's just he nailed it. He's really good at selecting what kind of genres and authors he wants to collab with. It's
Yeah. Absolutely.
he's right on the money. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like even if he did collab with some kind of weird, I don't know, contemporary writer or horror author that maybe isn't like, okay, they're all right, but his art would so make up for any kind of gaps in that. He's
I
so
think I would like to see an illustrated version of Rose Red.
okay.
I
Okay.
like Rose Red.
Yeah, okay. That could be my example that I was trying. Like, that's a good, yeah, I could see that. I just feel like he could, what do they say? Like how when a singer is really good, they can sing the phone book or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Grimley can
Mm-hmm.
illustrate, like, I don't know. I
Yep.
don't know what he can illustrate the phone book. There we go.
Yeah. There we go. He could illustrate the phone. I'd like to see that.
Yes. There you go. Next collab is going to be
Yes.
that.
So, Mr. Grimley, if you are seeing this, hearing this,
Right.
we've
We
got
have
some
faith in you.
ideas. We have some ideas. No, so, but yeah, and it was awesome too because this came out around 2003, 2004.
Yeah. Yeah, published 2004.
2004.
Yep.
Yeah, and as Levi said, he really does illustrate in pen, ink, and watercolors.
Mhm.
It is incredible what he does. And this particular book was published through Anathema Books, which is part of Simon. Is it Simon and Schuster? Hold on. Yes, it's part of the Simon and Schuster Children's Publishing Company. So,
Sorry, I was reading the back.
you were. I was
The
reading my
review. I
notes.
love, yeah, right. The review. It really does sum it up. So, Bernie writes in a horror legend. says Grimley captures the spirit of Poe in a fresh and classic way. Poe never looked so good. And I have to agree.
I do agree.
Yeah.
I do agree. One moment. Sorry, we might have a technical issue. No, don't.
Uh-oh.
Gabriel. Come here, Gabe. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Boys and girls, children of all ages, any of our Fae folk who might be watching. Sometimes our producers do things we don't want them to.
Seems a little
Like
bit
get on the
counterproductive.
table. Like get on the table.
Well, while you are managing that, I can show the
Sorry.
audience what I have.
Please do.
Speaking of Grimley making Poe look so good, Grimley has made another legend look just as good too.
Oh yes.
Okay,
Another
I'm totally
Poe.
being
Another Poe.
sarcastic. Yeah. Please don't take me seriously, folks. This is a portrait of.
This is one of my favorite things of all of ever.
Yes, that.
I love it.
Yeah. So for the listeners, you'll have to go on our Facebook page. We'll post this so you can see it.
Yeah.
If you're only listening right now, but if you're watching, on the screen here is a portrait that Gris Grimley had rendered of yours truly with his best pal, Virginia Clem Poe, the dog, Ginny Poe.
My puppy sister.
Yes. And a very appropriate raven perched on my shoulder. So this was commissioned by Grimley. I thought it was very appropriate to have myself rendered as if I was a character in one of his illustrated editions of Poe's works. It was like, and this was about 8
I
years
love the
ago.
way he did your hand.
Yes. So
that is probably like love the picture as a whole, but I keep going to your hand going.
Yeah, which my hand is not anything like that. My hand is more very stumpy and like big. I take after my dad and my grandfather with just like big, meaty kind of hands, not long, bony hands. But I like that he did that because it gave me that kind of ghoulish look where I was like, we sent him the pictures for the reference and, I wasn't sure what it was going to look like. I didn't know if he was going to draw me like with, modern clothes on or, if he was going to make it look, perfect. As you can see, though, he definitely made the forehead way too small.
Levi. Don't say this is called perfection.
It's really
I
awesome.
Love
it's awesome. And it was like right about too when I started growing my hair out. So I'm glad that I'm rendered with the long hair. I mean, that style might not last forever, but it's nice to be rendered at that age and at that, time in my life when Poe really started to become a serious thing for me, and so I thought that was worth showing. That is one of my proudest. I have the original, of course.
Shared.
Yeah, I have the original, of course, the original painting. It's like an 11 by 14. And it's, one of my prized possessions, So Grimley, to say the least, very near and dear to me. And I know to you as well. We definitely encourage listeners and viewers to look into his works. I mean, obviously we recommend the Poe editions, but I mean, all his works are great. I actually,
fantastic.
Which it's on my shelf. I didn't even think to pull it to show on the episode. Maybe we'll cover it, but he published like a sketchbook, like a little look inside his sketch. I own that. That's amazing. Like anything he does, it's just incredible. So we definitely want our audience to put this on their summer reading list if they have not already.
Yes. It is definitely fun. It will and especially I think the thing that I love about this book the most is the thing that, as we said, that Levi realized after reading it is how it is a bit abridged.
Right.
And I love, and this is something I was going to talk about real quick is that how it got you into Poe and how it really like sparked your like, who is this guy?
Right, right.
The fact of the matter with this particular book, this has been reprinted, like like a second edition, third edition, fourth. This has been printed over 12 times.
Wow.
I don't remember
okay. I
exactly
didn't even know
how
that.
many editions that has been printed so far, but it has had over 12 editions printed. It has been used over and over and over again in schools for helping to teach Poe.
Yeah. I believe it.
That is the thing that makes me go, I love that. I mean,
Yeah.
and a lot of people do know this about me. I got into Poe when I was literally in the 4th grade. I was
That's crazy.
in the
Young.
4th grade.
Young.
I was very young, and I came upon him on my own. Little tiny pocket books, basically, is what I called them, because they were so tiny you literally could put them in your pocket. I mean, they were big to me because I was a little kid, but you know, they were rather small. They were not big. And because they were individual short stories, they were very small, but they had some illustrations in them. And like, I saw the black cat and I saw the gold bug, and I was fascinated by, what is this?
Right.
There was no like real, like the covers were very plain, but they were embossed, you know, so they had gold leaf on them. And I was like, and I picked those up and I took them home and I read them. And I remember my dad being very like, who picked those out? I'm like, I did. And he goes, are you covering them in class? And I said, no, sir. And he goes, he goes, tell me what you think. And I was like, okay. I was like, I don't understand, but okay. Yes, sir, I will. You know, so, but you know, I did.
Proud dad moment, I'm sure.
Truly. But you know, to have something like this, oh my gosh, like I kind of wish I had something like this when I was in the 4th grade.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's like the perfect little,
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm jealous, but I'm also very happy because I got to have them as an adult, and kind of made me feel like a kid all over again.
Yeah.
You know, kind of gave me that like that joy.
Yeah. No, that's what he does. I mean, I will definitely. I'm supporting Grimley through all his projects. I mean, I love it. I've loved Pinocchio, which he illustrated.
Oh my gosh!
But,
it's fantastic.
The movie just came out, and they based the Pinocchio character on Grimley's Pinocchio, his version of Pinocchio, and that was a great movie. Of course, you can't go wrong. It's just, he's definitely. I mean, it's funny that our first summer reading book is like a picture book. It kind of is like an oxymoron, right? But
I mean, it's not like see Poe run.
Right.
And an image of Poe. Right. No, I mean, this is like, it is a picture book.
Yeah.
It almost makes you feel more like you're reading a comic book and not necessarily reading a book.
Right. Right. And even if you're familiar with Poe's stories that are included, the stories that are included, I mean, you can still reread them.
Oh, yeah.
Through Grimley's lens, you know, and enjoy them in a different way. So.
And I think there's Easter eggs.
Very cool. Yeah, you know, I've been. I
think there's Easter eggs in
flipping through
at least the last story.
Yeah, I've been flipping through, and
just saying,
it's been a while since I've opened this book up, but yeah.
But I'm not going to say anything.
No, I
because
wouldn't.
I want our listeners to get curious.
Yeah, there are definitely some little hidden little gems and tidbits in here that you definitely want to see. The art is amazing. So, you know, obviously we cannot recommend it enough.
I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you, Gris, for creating this amazing work.
It's
amazing. It's amazing. And this is
thank
just
you for ushering in the
A
newest
whole
Poe
new,
fans, and
yeah,
myself included, that I owe it all to you. I don't think he probably does not understand the impact that one book did for me, and
yeah,
changed my whole life, literally.
literally.
Which
And
is
I'm happy
sounds
for
like,
it.
yeah, it sounds like hyperbole, but it really is not. It literally changed my life, the whole
Yeah, the
direction,
whole kit and caboodle.
Yep. So yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that is going to cover it for this particular episode. Um, guess we'll just have to stay tuned and see
Yeah.
what our summer reading
See what the next one will
recommendation is
be.
for next week.
That's right.
All right.
Well,
Well, be seeing you soon, Levi.
all right. We'll see you next time, Virginia.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to Beyond the Oblong Box with your hosts, Levi Leland and Virginia Poe. This program is produced by EG&L Brothers Limited with production assistance by Peter D. Come Rest in This Bosom, arranged and performed by the Ninth Heaven. You can find us online on Facebook at BTOB Podcast, on Instagram at Beyond the Oblong Box, or reach us by email btob1847@gmail.com. If you'd like to help our show grow, consider becoming a patron by visiting patreon.com/Beyond the Oblong Box Podcast. You can also subscribe, rate, or review the show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of your preferred podcast platforms.